Every day you're starting over again and again and again. Every moment you're starting over again and again and again. Nothing is definite. Nothing is solidified. Nothing is constant. You can change yourself from one moment to the next. You can be someone else 1 second to another. We have this idea that we have to be one thing, oneself. But why not have the ability to be everything, any self, at any time, any moment? Because every interaction, every relationship, every responsibility is going to ask for and call for a different version of you. And you can embrace all of these versions as you. And in this way, anything, everything, all things that you would like in terms of manifestation, they will just become yours because you have become that. But when you spend most of your time focusing on the outcome that you would like, or focusing on what it is you would like, you're kind of giving away your power. But if you say, oh, I can just flip this around, and instead, what if I just become the version of me that just attracts money effortlessly without thinking about it? What if I just become the version of me that wakes up to text messages and random notifications that I've just received money in my bank, or I just received money in a wallet? Because if you chase the money itself, you get the money and then it leaves. But instead, if you not chase, but if you become, step into, align with you that is able to receive text messages or notifications or random opportunities where abundance just flows into your life, then the abundance is yours, and you're the source of it. And it will keep coming, and it'll keep performing, and it'll keep manifesting, because by you being that version, you're creating it. Same with relationships. Rather than focusing on, I would like this person to act this way or behave this way, or be this way, or do this thing. We can say, if I were to be, when I am to be in a relationship with this person, who am I to be? How would I talk? How would I speak? How would I show up? What skills do I need to have? What abilities do I need to have? What capabilities do I need to have? How would I be? But if you are just continuing to make something happen from where you're sitting, where you're standing, where you're looking, then nothing will happen. So one way would be, or the way we were taught would be, to chase after an outcome, to get an outcome, and that be it. But instead we can be the outcome, or become the source of the outcome, and then it comes and continues coming, and everything else that is in alignment with that version of you will come as well. And it'll just continue to have a ripple effect, and everything will just build off of each other, rather than something coming and then ending, coming and ending, coming and ending. So in terms of manifestation, conscious creation, and those things, that's sort of what you have to embody in order to allow for these creations to come forth. So if you were to look at it on a dimensional level, then the 3D would be here, where we are as physical bodies interacting with one another. It's sort of like the playground. Then you go to 4D, which is like the dream state, astral state, which can kind of saturate your 3D. And then you have the 5th dimensional plane reality, where it's just infinite source consciousness, and you have the ability to become anything at any moment, anytime, anywhere. The one thing that kind of stops us, if anything were to stop us, would be you like limiting yourself, or i.e. you're like keeping yourself in a mold. Like you've already sculpted yourself, but why not just be the clay or the pavement or the paintbrush that can take any form, make any stroke, be anything. But in order to like truly do that, you have to purify and cleanse and release and let go. And let go. Mainly purification. Because there's a lot of things that you may have picked up. A lot of beliefs, thoughts, ideas, emotions, behaviors. All of these are floating, being in your consciousness, existing in your consciousness. And some of them you may have adopted, some of them you may have been told, and some of them you've carried for far too long. So, we have to let these go. Let these be. Kind of see yourself free and naked and pure and empty. And it's just a process, it's just a practice. Sometimes you may be complacent with one identity that you have, one persona, one mask. But when you would like to create a change or a difference in your life, then you have to ask yourself, am I willing and ready to let this go? Am I willing to let go of the version of me that is living paycheck to paycheck, struggling, trying to make ends meet, wishing and wondering and hoping that money will just appear spontaneously and miraculously? But instead, you can realize I can be the one who allows for the change in my life. I can be the one who is the change in my life. I can be the change in my life. And then, things can just start flowing and falling into your lap and coming your way and working out for you, and life just being beautiful and things happening as you imagine them and everything working out for you. Because that's what we all really want. Of course, there will be times in our lives when we don't like a certain situation, but it can just be there to show us what it is that we don't like and what it is that we need to change in order to allow for another outcome. It doesn't have to be like a permanent stuck state. I learned the hard way by if you just judge yourself into change, you'll never change. Why am I not making any money? Why is this not happening for me? What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? Why am I such a problem? All these thoughts. But if you just take a second and you just reflect and you're like, yeah, I don't necessarily like this situation. I wouldn't prefer it. But I'm not a victim of the situation. I am able to change this. And it won't be like, it changes instantly. Maybe it is. I'm not gonna also place limitations on everyone's circumstances. But usually, in order to create that self where that new reality, new timeline exists, usually that takes time. Unless you're truly able to feel it and embody it and be it instantly. And I mean, arguably, this work is quote unquote harder because you have to break out of the comforts. But once you break out of the comforts, then you're like in a new territory, new terrain. You're building new neural pathways and neural networks, and then there's like infinite possibility within this new identity. And then you don't hold on to that identity either. You can just use them as vehicles of creation. If I'm recovering from if I become this, then I create this. If I be this, then I will see that. If I am this, then I am that. That's sort of like the idea of it.